Hello there and welcome to my Minecraft tutorial. This is the first in a series of tutorials on town building and using modular designs. In this tutorial we're just going to cover the basics, like the very start, and then we're going to talk about what's coming up and how this can be used. Okay, first off, I think the best piece of advice I can give is to make sure you're using the right texture pack. Right now obviously I'm on default, but what you want to do is make sure that you're using a texture pack in design and, you know, building and the whole lot. You want to make sure you're using the right texture pack, one that looks pretty similar to default. The reason for this is that if you are designing a particular structure and you've got everything set out for, you know, how everything wants to look, you don't want it to change too much depending on what people are using for their own texture pack. So for example, if I go into Craft, you can see it's a pretty similar structure to what was there before, but I like to use one called John Smith, which has been around for forever, but I like the way it looks. So that would be my best advice, because you can see that the construction still looks pretty much the same. These are Georgian townhouses that are all using modular design, so they've basically taken them and copied them and made a street. And I guess that's kind of the purpose of this whole tutorial, is showing how to use modular design to really improve upon your builds, make everything look a lot neater and more compact. The reason we're doing this is because of a certain SMP server mod called Towny, which divides the world up into chunks, which are 16 by 16 by 128 blocks that make up the world. And the reason I'm bringing it over here is that the focus of this tutorial, unless people want to see different, will be medieval styles. So here you can see a medieval house that I've randomly placed at the end of this row. And the next tutorial will be how to build this house and how to build variations of it. But the idea is, if you divide your entire world up into either 16 by 16 blocks or 8 by 16 blocks, you design nice looking houses, shops, blacksmiths, inns, factories, whatever you want to do. You design all these nice things, churches, don't forget those, and you can stick them all together in a modular design, and the whole thing ends up looking really nice, which I will show eventually, how you can use this kind of system, I suppose, for making a really awesome town. You can see this house, from including the road actually I should say, is 16 blocks long and 8 blocks wide. So the idea is, if you're using Towny and you want to have everything compact, you can stick one of these here, another one right there. Maybe you want to mix it up, maybe you can put a shop here, or an open market stall system or whatever. I'll show a bunch of different tutorials on different buildings that all fit into these sort of chunks. And I guess the idea is to stick this one or something similar onto the end, then lay them all out so that they form a big town or a big city. As you can see, this is my testing world, which would be my second piece of advice after picking a right texture pack, is to make sure you have, if not one, then have several of flat land, big open worlds in creative that you can mess around in. Because I always find with survival multiplayer servers that it's worth having a design in mind before you start, because resources can get expensive, especially certain ones like iron. If you're building an entire structure out of that, you got to make sure you have the plans down before you start. There's not a lot of room for error. So yeah, I guess that's the very basics that I'll show for this video. What's coming up next is I'll give a brief outline of Towny and how chunks work. I'll also show you how to build this house here, which isn't very impressive looking, but bear in mind I will show other variations, like the one you can see often is down there, and there's a few more if I fly over here. If you just give me a moment, you can kind of see them spawning in at a distance. There's a couple of variations on what's pretty much the same design, but you can kind of see, I will show larger villages and towns later on, you can kind of see how these kind of modular designs, when they're stuck together, you can get a good idea of how awesome they can potentially look. I mean, imagine you had a whole street of these. Now imagine that street was a village, and then a town, and then a city. and so on. So I guess that's the main appeal of this form of design. Well, don't mind that, that was a that was a testing ground. Yeah, you can see the kind of appeal of it. I mean, these Georgian houses are all pretty bland. This was just something I whipped up for the purposes of this tutorial. So they all look pretty bland and uniform. Partially because I was being lazy. But yeah, so that's the basic idea behind this entire tutorial, is to make a nice town, but by using a certain method of design and building and sticking it all together. So yeah, if you like this video and you want to see more, then please like, comment and subscribe. I'm Mr. Archer MC, and the next tutorial will be coming up very, very shortly. So bye for now. Oh, and I should say before I go, if you aren't too interested in medieval style and you want to focus on something else, I can do Georgian or Victorian or steampunk or modern, Roman, whatever you guys want to see is what I'm going to go with. So if you guys want to see something else rather than medieval, I'll go with majority rules. So yeah, just let me know, and hopefully I will see you guys soon. Bye.